When you think of a librarian, what comes to mind? Probably someone stamping books, right? Or shushing a noisy room. But what if I told you that behind that quiet desk, they're facing some seriously complex ethical dilemmas every single day? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden rulebook that governs the entire world of librarianship.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the tough questions librarians face. Then, we'll dive into the official rulebook they use to answer them. We'll break down its core principles, see how this all plays out on a global scale, and finally, tackle the new challenges of our digital age.
Okay, so to really get why a professional code of ethics is so important, you have to understand that a librarian's job is about way more than just managing books. It's about navigating some really high-stakes situations. Imagine this. Someone's at a library computer, and they're researching something. Let's just say it's a topic that you, and maybe most of society, would find pretty disturbing. What do? Where does your duty lie? Is it with that person's right to information, or is it with some perceived idea of public safety? Get it wrong, and you could put a chill on free inquiry for everyone. Or how about this one? The police show up. They want to see a user's borrowing history, but they don't have a warrant. You want to be helpful, of course, but you also have a fundamental duty to protect your patron's privacy. This is a head-on clash between civic duty and professional ethics, and the biggest risk? A total breakdown of the public trust that libraries are built on. And then there's the classic. A really vocal group in the community is demanding a certain book be pulled from the shelves. Do you cave to the pressure, or do you stand your ground? Your decision here sets a huge precedent. Does the library protect intellectual freedom, or does it just bend to whoever yells the loudest? These are not easy questions, and they highlight a really critical distinction.
And that's the difference between morals and ethics. See, your morals, those are your personal compass. They're what you feel is right or wrong, and they come from inside you. But ethics are external. They're the shared set of rules that an entire profession agrees to live by. It's the playbook for when your personal feelings and your professional duties are in conflict. So, to navigate all these tricky situations, professions don't just wing it. They create a rulebook, a formal code of ethics that gives them a clear framework for how to act.
And this is not at all unique to librarians. Just like doctors have the Hippocratic Oath and lawyers are governed by the bar, librarianship relies on a formal code to make sure their service is consistent and principled. It's what turns the work from just a job into a real profession with serious responsibilities.
And this idea has been around for a while. The conversation started way back in 1909 with the first canons of ethics. The American Library Association, or ALA, put out its first formal code in 1938, and it's been evolving ever since. The most recent amendment was in 2008, which really shows you that this is a living document, something that has to adapt with the times.
All right, so what's actually in this rulebook? Well, in the United States, the ALA's Code of Ethics is the foundation, and it's built on 8 core pillars.
And what's so powerful about these is how they directly address the dilemmas we just talked about. Pillar 2, it's a direct order to resist censorship. That's the book banning issue right there. Pillar 3 is all about protecting privacy, which tells you exactly what to do about that police request. And Pillar 7 is absolutely crucial. It says librarians have to separate their personal feelings from their professional duties. That ensures fair access for everyone, no matter what they're researching.
Now, the ALA code is a really strong framework in the US, but this need for guiding principles, it's a truly global issue for the profession. According to the International Federation of Library Associations, 34 countries have an official national code of ethics for librarians. That's a pretty significant number, right? But it also makes you wonder, who isn't on that list?
So, what about India? A country with such a rich literary history and a huge network of libraries. You'd think they'd have a unified code, wouldn't you?
Well, it's complicated. Professionals in India definitely see how important a code is. People have written about it for years. But for a variety of reasons, no single national association has managed to officially adopt one. The conversation is there, but it just hasn't led to a unified standard for the whole country.
And there are some pretty big hurdles holding it back. For one, there's a public perception issue. The profession's image isn't as strong as it could be. On top of that, you have multiple competing professional bodies, so there's no single voice to lead the charge. And without that central authority, there's nobody to actually implement or enforce a code, which just makes it incredibly difficult to get a national standard off the ground.
Of course, while this debate is happening in some parts of the world, the ground is literally shifting under everyone's feet. The digital age has rolled in and created a whole new ethical minefield.
Yeah, this is the new frontier.
The core principles, privacy, access, they're still there, but how you apply them is completely different. How do you protect privacy when our data is everywhere? How do you ensure information is authentic in an age of AI and deepfakes? How do you balance copyright laws with the public's right to access digital content? And maybe most importantly, how do you make sure that technology closes gaps instead of creating a bigger divide between the information haves and have-nots?
And that kind of brings us to our final thought. The Librarian's Code, it's always been a living document, right? It's adapted from those early canons to principles for the internet age. But now, as information is increasingly curated not by people but by algorithms and AI, the fundamental question is still there. Who gets to write the next chapter of the rulebook? And what values will they choose to put first?